What's up, everyone? So I wanted to kind of go through a couple things that I'm an intermediate guitarist. I feel like I'm breaking through the other end, and I've hit a plateau, and I've been pushing so hard this past year to really break through, and I feel like I'm finally actually breaking through, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of like brain drop a few things while I'm if along the way. That way it's like fresh, and it's exactly what I'm doing to kind of break out of these little barriers, so I thought it would be good. And one thing I think what a lot of intermediate guitarists don't know, I think, is one, to gain speed. There's an unusual place to gain speed, but before that, I feel like this is probably something that you've heard a million times before, especially if I'm talking to intermediate guitarists right now, to kind of break through, or to kind of get to the next level. And it's to learn the major scale. And I know I've heard that a million times, but whenever I actually sat down to try to do it, I would always just end up just riffing and just kind of screwing off. So I was like, that's part of what I know I need to figure it out. And let me just give you what I'm done to kind of like figure it out, and then we can go from there. Because I feel like there has to be a kind of a pragmatic approach in this kind of like, hopefully this systemized process will kind of help you a little bit. The first thing is really hone down on the major scale interval system, the whole, half, whole, half. And I know you've heard that before, but in terms of actually using it on the fretboard, I feel like that's where a lot of people lack, or at least you'll probably lack something that I'm going to say in the next, and then try to add it to your tool bag. And one thing that I try to do is that I did not look at scale sheets, because that I think is kind of a crutch. And instead, what I did is like, because you're already aware of the positions of probably what they look like, or at least resemble. And I know you know the blues box. So one thing that I'm kind of looping like 3 or 5 kind of like tricks, so to speak, together to kind of remember the major scale. So, because that is one thing, like once you manage the major scale, you'll see that your speed actually dramatically increases, because you're not unsure of where to go. Like you know where to go. Now you're just kind of like getting more accustomed to it. And then it's first, learning the position outside the blues scale, position before the blues scale, and so forth. Now, so if you don't know, when you're doing the blues scale, this note right here, and it's also the G. So if you know caged, right? If you know caged, C-A-G, this is the G position. And that is C. And so just think of like, if you're in blues box, your pinky, whatever your pinky is, it's always going to be them. That's the major. So this is so when you're in this A position, it's C major. So this is the G position of the C major scale. C right here. Okay, and then of course if you go back, then to find the relative minor, you're just in the blues box. Boom. It's A minor. So, okay, so that's great then. Now we can do that with any, but don't worry about that right now. Just focus on one, and in my opinion, focus on C major, because you need as we're about to break out of the pentatonic position here, or just the blues position. It's also the relative minor position of the C major scale. Then once you the way you break out of it is use the interval system. Use the interval system, the whole, half, C, whole, D, whole, E, half, F, right? So you don't need to go that far. Just go down here, whole. So C, whole, D, whole, and then this one right here, it's F, right? So you now let me give you another system that you may or may not know. Is the other thing is that to make your life 10 million times easier, learn every note of just these two strings, because these two strings will give you all the other strings basically, because you have the high E, and then that's just going to mirror the big E, and then because when you're trying to do the interval system and you're like, if you don't like, having to always count up is kind of a bitch. So you want to kind of know where you want to start placing seeds of notes of where, like, kind of landmarks where you remember. So and if you don't have any landmarks, then at least you want to have like something to look back to, something to remember. So if you're stuck here, always remember, like, in this position, this is the same note. So the D, you don't even have to think anymore. If you're like, this note, I don't know what that is there, but if you're like, oh, it's a C. My E's a little out soon. But it's a C. This position, it's a B. It's an A. I'm talking about the D right here. I'm talking about the D string. But that's great because you're like, you just know the octaves, right? So that's great. So you, again, intervals, learning all intervals. Learning intervals is so important. And I know you know them, but do you really know them, and do you use them in your practice? And this is what I'm talking about. So let's break out. Let's find this. This is my second favorite position. This is my C major run, and I'm not checking it. I'm checking it, but I'm checking it with this knowledge I'm giving you, and then you also like, you need to be away from other things. You need to focus only on this, and don't even like don't have any temptation of distortion or anything. Just really focus on this, because this will really like make everything so much better once you figure this out, and it's fun. But so this is my other position that I like. You can find your own because there's tons of positions in between positions. So anyways, so just focus on one outside of the other, and then once you get that down and you figured out with your own way, with your interval style and everything, and then you go E, and then you go C, then D, E, F, G, A, and then B, C. Right? And then you just keep going. So C, D, and then you kind of start to notice, so like, and the reason I like the C major scales is because there's no sharps or flats. So just learn all, because like if you want, you can double check yourself super fast, because if you're in a sharp or a flat, then you're like, oh, okay, well, it's definitely not C major, because there are no flats or sharps in C major. So just keep going. Let's see, where are we? C. No, that's not C. It's B, C, D. See what I literally just did that right there just to figure it out. I'm like, you know, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, D, D, E. And that's a new position. So, yeah, I mean, it's like you figure it out on your own, and it will be far more rewarding. You will actually learn it, and you'll be able to double check yourself, stay on the C major, figure out all the positions of the neck one by one, because now I'm like, I know, it's crazy. It's like, now I know all the positions of the neck, and I can run all across the neck. I mean, I'm not like super great at it yet, but I just thought it was really great for you to kind of like to know. I just wanted to give that to you guys because I thought it would be really helpful. So it's like I use all those three tools in tandem with each other, so that you can you can figure this out. You know, and it's just much easier to really evolve with it. I fumbled a little bit there, here and there, but it kind of gives you an idea of like I wasn't able to do all that. I wasn't able to string all those things together. I know it's a little choppy, but I'm doing it on the fly, and I'm trying to do new stuff that I haven't done before because now I can see them. So I am a little choppy, but I am working on all those positions. As you can see, I'm like going from boom to boom. I'm not just like going blues box and to other blues box, you know, because that's what I used to do all the time, and I'm tired of it. I'm breaking out of that mold. I'm done. So I think that's it. I hope that helps you, and I hope you progress as a guitarist, and you know, keep rocking, and doot 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 doot. All right, see ya.